Okay, we're up to another 15-minute frenzy. We're gonna continue with the HTML. There's a couple more things we gotta go over before we move on to the next subject. But this should, first thing we're gonna talk about today is the div tag. We're gonna talk about breaks, a couple tags. There's a few tags, 4 things we're missing: the div tag, the breaks, image tags, and style tag. That's all going to lead into CSS, which we'll go over next. But first, we left off right here. We had a title for our website, and again, this could be done on any Word document, any text. Your text pad, you can open up your text pad and just start typing this stuff, and you'll have a web page. First thing we need to declare is what type of document we're using, what type of text it is. It's HTML. First tag is HTML, then the head. The head is where you're going to put the information like the title and keywords for search engines. That's where you're going to put your scripts, any style sheets you're going to have. They're all going to be inside your head. The stuff inside the head, again, is not visible to you when you're watching the web page. You're not going to see the head. You're going to see the body, which is the next tag. I put down some divs so you can see an example of what they look like. This is a div with the style attribute and the style values. Okay, then we have a paragraph tag, welcome home, close div, close paragraph. We added a break here. Then another div with another style, just another example of the attribute with the style, with the attribute value. And then the close div, right, the close div. Okay. Now, what you need to know about these divs is that they're like, these are the magic boxes that we talked about last episode. You want a div around every element that you have, so it's easier to maneuver within your page. These divs make it easier to style your sheet as long as you have all your elements within these divs. You can put multiple elements inside a div. And there's no limit. You can put divs inside of divs, and there's no limit to how many you can have. They just make it easier for you to maneuver and to position your content. There's multiple attributes that are able to go in here, like the style. This is an attribute, okay? Div space style. This attribute, there's a lot of different types of attributes that go along with these divs, all to identify what that container is or what it's doing. That div, that tag, what it does. That's what the attributes are. You can add attributes to any one of these tags. I'm just talking about this div right now in particular. Next is a break. The break tag. Break is pretty simple. It's just a return. So if you have if you're writing a paragraph or whatever it is you're doing and you need a new line, that's all the break is. It's just a new line. What'll happen when you're typing out your code and you have everything typed out, if you don't have a break, what's going to happen is the text or the image, whatever it is you're putting onto your page, if it exceeds the margins, call it the margins, if it goes past it, it's going to automatically break it to the next line. It's an automatic thing, the wrap text. Once it hits the end, it'll come back around to the bottom. But if you need to do that manually, you're going to do it with a break tag. And the break tag is a single self-closing tag. You don't need, it's like the image tag, which is next that we're going over. The image tag, I don't have one written down. Let's do another div for the image tag. And remember, white space is not, the white space is ignored. Div image source equals quote blah 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 blah. And then alts. Equals quote backup text. this image tag. So if you want to place an image on your web page, all you're gonna do is just add an image tag. Close the div. Okay, we're gonna add an image tag. In order to get an image, you have to include the source. So when you have your folder where you saved your file, you're gonna save your images. When you save your text file, that same HTML file, you're gonna save your photos in that same folder. If you have an image that you want to use, make sure you get the name and under the source. That's what you're gonna type is the location of your image or the name of it. And then alternate is if for whatever reason your file becomes corrupted, the image isn't loading, or whatever reason the file doesn't work. The alternate is a backup. So if there instead of getting that X, you'll get this text. It's always best to be as descriptive as possible because this is a backup to your image. So if I have an image of my website, then I'm gonna want, if I want that logo there and it's not working, I want a good description of what that logo is. So you're very clear what it is there. The logo is there for a purpose to advertise your brand. And if that logo is gone, you got to do your best with words to advertise your brand. So that's what that alternate is. Okay. Source, image, source, and this is I just put these little octoverbs just to as placeholders. But that's the image tag. And they can go anywhere. Well, you want them inside the body. And then finally, the style tag. Okay. Now the style tag. The styling your sheet, you're gonna be able to do this multiple ways. There's different ways you can style your sheet. Not a lot of different ways. 3 different ways. Okay. The first one is to include the style within the tag itself. The div, here's the style equals color gray. That's gonna turn the text, everything inside this div, which is this paragraph, is gonna turn the font gray. That's what that does. Okay. Same thing here. I change it to blue. Whatever. That's one way of doing your styles. Second way is to include all your styles here in the head. It'll be style, and then, well, you'll have a closing style as well. But inside this style sheet is where you can include your CSS if you decide to have it in the head. So the way that's done is whenever, like if you want to, let's say paragraphs, instead of doing this, styling the color, or maybe we want to do a background. I want all my text, all my paragraphs, all my letters to have a background to them, because the color is just, I don't like the colors are being weird, so I just want to have a background color. What I can do is point to one of these tags or all of these tags. Unless they're named with, and this is something we'll go over next time with CSS style sheets, but there's also an attribute like style that's called class and ID. Those are specifically to identify what the objects are called. Okay, so there's classes, there's tags, classes, and then there's IDs. So if we're being very, very vague, we can say, I want the div, I want to talk to all the divs. And this is the CSS example. That's the example of CSS. So when we say div, and then bracket, and what this is doing is saying, okay, all divs, div, div, div. Any div. I want background color. Yellow. Colon. And then close bracket. Okay. So what that does, close bracket. Gotta make sure I'm doing it wrong. I need the quotes. I forgot the quotes. Okay, so what that's gonna do, you say all the divs, I want you to have a background of yellow. So automatically it's gonna look at this div, and this div, is put backgrounds behind it. And that's what that's the second way to style, to use a style tag. Or to style your HTML is to include it in the head. The style tag. Okay, that's the third tag we're going over. Or the fourth tag. That's right. Div, keep a div around all your objects. 2, break. Think of it as a return. If you're done in the paragraph or you're done, you want an image, you have an image and you want something underneath the image, throw a break in there, it's gonna get you a new line. It's like returning. Image source. Image is the name of the tag. If you want to add an image to your page, you're gonna reference it with the source attribute, src equals quote, and then the pathway or the name of the file, and then include an alternate, just this, after the close the quote, space, alt, equals, quote, backup text, and try to be as specific as you can with that backup text. Self-closing, it doesn't need an image close tag, it's self-closing. Keep a div around that one. And styles, style sheet, you can include it within the div, right here. Div style equals what? Whatever you want to do style-wise, so you can do it right there, or include a style tag in the head. The third way, the last way to do it, is probably going to be the most flexible way, is to use an external sheet. So you know how we made an HTML file? Well, we're going to make a CSS file next. It's whatever style.css. It'll be your CSS sheet, and then you can write all these codes inside of that other sheet, and then in here, in the head, we're going to link that other sheet. For that style sheet, we're going to link it to this page, so that way all the divs know, like, okay, that CSS sheet is talking to me. So there's a way of doing that, and we'll go over it in the next video, but for now, that's gonna finish off basically everything you need to know about coding in HTML and how to make a website. This video and the last one is the basics, all you need to know. The attributes is gonna be where the money's at, these attributes, okay? Divs, images, paragraphs, those are all fun, easy to play with, but being able to maneuver them and make them go where you want them to go is going to be the biggest hurdle, or it could be the most confusing part to get it to be exactly the way you want it. These attributes is how you're going to do that, of all the height, width, percentages, sizes, colors, shapes, borders, all of this. There's so many in W3 Schools. The book also mentions W3 Schools is a great source for information on HTML and CSS, specifically with like attributes and colors and stuff. So that is it for this episode number 7, and we'll come back next time with some CSS.